Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our PM safari. Of course, we had the perfect shot lined up and then the giraffe moved. But that's the way it goes. My name is Mark. Alex is on camera with me this afternoon. Pat in final control. And we're already sitting with a very familiar face to us nowadays. This lady giraffe and her calf in the background. Can you still see her? Well, she's behind the tree. She's moving a bit. Let me move back a little bit and we'll get to see that shot again. Interestingly, we often get asked about giraffe sleeping or lying down. And sometimes it's hard to sort of describe the sort of sternal repose that they have, this way of lying on their chest, because they can't lie down properly, can't have their heads parallel to their, or rather at the same level as their hearts for too long. And that youngster in the background is sitting in that lovely pose, and they will sit in the shade for a while, and that's how they rest. Not for very long periods, appropriately doing so now in the heat of the day. But one of the few times that you'll see giraffe lying like this. Another time is when it's rather chilly and cold. We've had both extremes this week. Colder earlier on, and now extremely hot with a strong northerly wind. Quite a warm wind too. This time Mom's staying fairly close. We've seen her leave him in the past and then come back to this area and walk around looking for him for hours. Only to be relieved the next day to see both of them together again. But last time we saw them, they were up on, or rather down on, they were down south on Gari, Maine, other side of Treehouse Dam. So she's been wandering around. There was another group of giraffe on Drakensberg Drive 2 days ago. And the only other giraffe that I've seen around. I've seen a lot of giraffe tracks. But I think the most common animal on Western Gari at the moment is zebra. There seem to be tracks of zebra on every road. It shows a little bit of a seasonal movement of the species. Sometimes we don't see them at all. They're coming in waiting for the rains. With my earpiece. Move a bit, Alex.
Yeah.
I'd like to just get a different perspective. It's just so peaceful. With this bit of wind, there are no insects, there are no birds calling. But I do see a bird, a magpie shrike, which we're going to see maybe at the same time as we see this youngster. Thought he might get up when Mom came back to his side, to where he is. There we go, that's nice. Depth perception or a 3D. Shrike has flown off.
No, we did, but we might speak to the
They're obviously a lot more vulnerable in this position, but they can get up relatively quickly if they need to. When you watch animals with ears like this, you can tell where their brains are to some extent, or rather where their thoughts are. It's one thing to be able to see where they're looking, and even then we can't really tell, especially those that have the eyes on the sides of their face. They have such a larger angle of view that their brain is processing a lot visually, constantly, probably about a 250, 270 degree radius. And we're only barely 180 degrees, we're only about 170 degrees. But their ears give them a different dimension, not only in that it's sound, but their ears allow them to hear from a 360 degree point of view. And that the brain constantly processing too. So when it's pointing its one ear back, it's just listening for where mom is, just making sure mom is still there. You can hear the chewing, and probably when mom starts moving and walking and crunching leaves, you'll see those ears go back. But at the moment she's standing still, feeding on a bush at the back, just behind him. It'd be nice if she would just cross the line of view in the background, which I'm asking her to do. And she's saying, in time. What's the rush? I'm a giraffe. The world is in slow motion, except when you're being chased by a lion. Most of his attention is focused on us, and probably has been most of the time we've been sitting here. Almost impossible to even hold binoculars still with this wind. So there might be a little bit of camera movement. Add to the authenticity of it. Oxpeck has just arrived. There were a bunch of buffalo at the dam today. Only one of the oxpeckers were looking for a different host for the afternoon. All we can see a mom are her legs through the trees, and the way the shadows work, they could just as well be tree stumps. You can't see her body. But I'm hoping she will have to move on. She's browsing on a bush that is soon going to Yeah, copied, I'll come back. Alex is needed. And Sebastian will be coming to replace him. Do a switch over out here rather than go back in. Well, that's good, because we get to sit with the giraffe a little longer. I'm sure everyone's happy to be spending some time like this. We can sit with sleeping lions and sleeping leopards and sleeping buffaloes. Sit with a resting giraffe. You know, sleep is something that a lot of the herbivores don't really know about. They've constantly got to be on an alert, constantly got to be aware of danger. But also it's their digestive system that doesn't really allow them to sleep very much. Here comes Mom. Just what I wanted. You're going to come and talk to your baby now, because we're giving it too much attention. Come give it a kiss. Oh, how maternal are you? Okay, baby, you gonna get up and talk to Mom? Thought so. That's some milk, no? No milk, I'm still eating leaves. But I want milk. No, I told you, no milk. Just follow me. I suppose I could have put a voice to that. Ooh, I'm in trouble now. Here she comes. She's getting ready. She's stalking behind the apple leaf. Ears are going back. Hello, Mrs. G. concerned parent, what do these humans want with my child? Nothing, I promise. Some of you might hear this and might sound familiar to you, this engine coming up now. Jigger has arrived. Thanks, Alex. Good luck. Important computer code and connections and other stuff to be done. Hey Seb. Hello everybody, if you're just joining us, my name is Mark. Sebastian is on camera. Patrick in final control. And we're with our semi-resident giraffe female and her calf. Wind blew the camera over. Mayday, mayday. Where's that thing now? Just be patient, we're having a little problem with the camera head. Patrick, you got a picture yet? Okay. Minor hiccup. Okay, we'll be back shortly.
Hi everyone. Sorry, Perry speaking in final control. We just literally lost the picture on the vehicle, and Sebastian is busy wiggling on the wires in the vehicle, and hopefully the picture will be back shortly. So please bear with us and enjoy the cover tab for the time being. Thanks very much. This wasn't up.
It was approved.
Fantastic, we're back again. And now she's letting him drink. And him might actually be a little her. She's got a face like a little girl. And what I might be mistaken for something else might just be the remnants, the belly button. The swelling around the belly button that persists. No, she's had enough. But I want milk, Mommy. Got milk? Because somebody's been lying in the shade most of the day. And she will say, yeah, I told you to go and eat some leaves. But they taste bitter, Mom. Not as nice as the milk. You're going to have to eat leaves sometime, child. I still think it's a little boy. But anyway, time will tell. Hopefully we'll get to watch these giraffes for some time still. Should we tail them? See where they're not going to move far. It's going to move to another tree and browse, and he's just going to stand in the shade and wait till she's distracted enough so they can go and try and get some milk again. Shall I move? I shall. Reeves was just driven by us. There's some rhino on Weaver's Nest. We're going to look at them shortly. We should use this opportunity to watch a mother in a park for a little bit. Very little one, why did you get spooked all of a sudden? No, that was entirely my fault. Maybe didn't like the crunching of the leaves. I'm trying to get an angle to them. The best way to treat giraffe is almost like horses. I know you're interested in them, but I'm not going straight towards them. I'm pretending to be interested in something else. Elephants have left so many twigs lying around. All those times that we've had only glimpses of giraffe in the bush as they may move away. Oh, Pearl-spotted owlet calling already. This is a large fruited combretum, or the large fruited bush willow. It's just coming into bloom at the moment. And these little buds on the ends of the branchlets are actually the buds of flowers, not leaves. It'll flower first and then come into leaf afterwards. It's a very large leaf and a relatively inconspicuous flower, so if it were to flower with the leaves out, they would probably be hidden. And it wants maximum exposure when it's in flower. Obviously a tasty treat for the giraffe. Being a combretum, then a let's see if we can go find those rhino. Any questions on giraffe? Here's something I found earlier. Actually, I'll put it on the road. The camera's going to bounce it too much. Stop on the road, I'll show you something. I found a jawbone just before I started the drive. I'm going to leave you Mrs. G, even with the Mrs. G. Miss Jeevis. Mrs. D and her daughter Miss G. Miss G's. Miss Jeevis. Bye, baby. Mr. Master G. Hasn't moved an inch. I'm going to go a little bit further. I want to show you something. Put it here and hold it still and you can see it. Actually, it's not a good place, is it?
The dog actually
Hold it like that.
yeah, put the camera.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want it there?
Yeah.
Like that.
And I don't need to show you.
Okay. This is a jawbone from a baby impala. It was already eating food. It was already eating vegetation. You can see there's a stain line. There's actually like a combination of the resins in the plant and bits of plant material that build up along the edge of the gum, and you can see it also builds up along the edge of the tooth, the darkness, the dark part. So they've already been eating vegetation for a while, probably going on a yearling perhaps. Not very old. I don't know when the young impala was killed here in quarantine. Could have happened in the middle of the night. Could have been one of those times when the hyenas hunted and we didn't know about it. Could have been one of the boys and they got stolen by a hyena. Could have been, bless you, or could have been even, I think it's a bit too old to be the one recently. But I'm sorry that it hasn't got the front part of the jaw. The front part of the jaw has been chewed off, and that has the incisors, and I've promised to find you, and I still will, the incisors from an impala to show you how they grooved, almost comb-like, combing through. When you see impala grooming, as we were watching the other night, they're actually using their bottom jaw rather than their tongue. They don't have that much of a rough tongue like the cats do to be able to groom each other with the tongue. So, welcome to our drive. That's an interesting start. Let's see what we can find now. Hello, Nancy in Texas. Hi, Nancy. Nancy wants to know. Well, Nancy heard that giraffe chew on bones for calcium supplements. That is true, Nancy. That is very true. We have filmed it. I've seen it on many occasions. In fact, often when they're in a situation like this where you watch giraffe moving about, especially perhaps at this time of the year when it's very dry, you might find a giraffe bending down, and then you'll know that it's engaging in one of two types of behavior. It's either picking up a bone to chew on bone, or it's picking up some earth to chew on earth. But on this sandy soil that we're at now, you're not going to see the giraffe doing that. It's called, excuse me, it's called geophagia. Geo meaning earth, phagia meaning to chew, or phagia is to eat. Also known as geomastication. I think it is. It's not the same scratchy throat I had when I was doing the diary. Picking up bones is called osteophagia. Also osteomastication. That is the actual act of chewing on that bone. And it won't be anything, not likely a bone like this jawbone that I've got here that's relatively fresh. See if I can find you the kind of bone. I buy a bone that's been lying in the sun for decades and it's slowly crumbling, slowly decaying, decomposing. It's that kind of bone that the giraffe is going to pick up and mull around in its mouth. And a lot of the outer surface of the bone is going to be swallowed, and that does help with calcium intake. I don't know how much it is, or rather, a roller. Balancing act this afternoon, what? Oh, okay. Be like that then. Wait till the European rollers come back. We'll see you. It's the last laugh. I see something big and grey in the distance. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's too big. Big and grey, no? It's not in the sky. It is a sleeping termite mound. Yep, so that's what it is. That's the shadow side of a termite mound. And of course, I'm looking way over in the distance up near Zoe's Road. Late afternoon like this. Looking at the shadow side, and it's not all year that we get such a vast view over the bushveld, or through it for that matter. Soon we're not going to be able to see Zoe's Road from here. But with it open like this, if there was anything out there, if there's anything like buffalo, rhino, or elephant, I'd be able to see it. Or I'd be able to see where vultures were settling down on the ground if they were. If the occasion called for it. But it's a hot, windy afternoon. Don't you think so, Hornball? Waiting for somebody to turn over the dried elephant bones so you can get to the Sherman. Some time ago there was some rhino in Weaver's Nest, and unless they're very, very hot and bothered and standing in a stupor or lying in the shades, they might have moved off, but we'll see if we can find them. Drake is at it again, feeding on flowers under the sausage tree. Going back to Nancy's question, Nancy, giraffe are not the only animals to chew on bone. You'll find the likes of kudu doing the same. I haven't seen any other antelope really doing it much. Mostly the larger animals, but then again, you have the rodents that chew on bone, and in particular porcupine, but that might have something to do with teeth sharpening more than anything else. Or maybe it is a bit of a calcium issue. Oh, interesting. Excuse me a moment. Was this where the kill was?
Yes.
Oh, of course.
So that's...
No wonder I've never... Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is all the stomach contents here. If I had enough, I'd be able to fly. Well, if you heard that. If I had enough, maybe I'd be able to fly. Okay, I wasn't here at all for this. And I don't know why it's taken me this long to recognize this is the spot where it happened. And I've always known it was on Weaver's Nest, but I never knew where it was. So, from what I can see, and I never saw a single thing, this is where it was killed, and this is where the vultures got to it. But after it was here, hyenas, or possibly even the lion, dragged it around the back there, because most of the bone fragments are just around the back where I eventually ended up, if you were following me. Kind of at the back of that big tree stump back there, and the skull, there was a big buffer, I can see this was a big boy, sure. Skull and the entire spinal column is there, as are chewed shoulder blades, parts of the jawbone, and various other bone fragments clearly chewed up by hyenas. But it looks like with the stomach contents here, this is where it was brought down, and this is where they fed. The lion must have fed on it. So you must have been able to park on the road, has it?
Well, it was killed by leopard. It was a baby buffalo, and it was killed on that side of the road.
No, you're wrong.
I'm joking. Yeah, you're totally right, Mark.
No, but what I mean is, were you able to sit on the road and watch it?
Yes, we actually, the first footage we got from the kid, we were standing there.
Okay.
So, yes.
Make a mobile out of these. If I can find some bells, I'll put bells on them. But it tells me which way the wind's blowing. You ever want to make your own weather vane? It's something with bells on. One of those wind chimes. And if you have the kind of weather where you get one wind is a dry wind and the other wind brings the rain, you always put it on the leeward side of the dry wind, so that when the rain's coming, the bells ring and then you know the rain's coming. I also used in the Cape, it was easy to do that, because the constant wind is the southeaster, and the southeaster is more or less your summer dry wind, and then in the sort of autumn, winter time, when that comes along, you get the wind from the northwest. And when that wind blows and the northwest wind blows, you know that there's rain coming, and lots of it. And when you have a wind chime on the windward side of the northwest wind, you get fair warning that the wind is coming. Okay, I suppose we're still looking for rhino, weren't we? Let's go and find rhino. That was a big buffalo, boy. That skull, I'd like to get that skull. Unfortunately, it's still leaking brain matter. Or still leaking liquid from the brain, from the brain case. But it's still a bit yucky. Probably what, it's over a week old, a bit longer. Don't smell anything on my hand other than maybe a bit of vulture from all the feathers. By the way, those are vulture feathers. They're mostly secondaries, none of them are primaries. I look for primaries, I want primaries. Fun collecting the primary feathers of many birds, any birds. Hello Sandy. Wanting to know how come we so rarely see wild dog on drive and where are they concentrated. Well Sandy, first of all, as far as your first question is concerned, wild dogs have extremely large home ranges, territories. Well, not really territories. They have home ranges, they have areas that they operate in different times of the year. And I would say those areas probably are 100 times the size of the area that we cover. So if you take, I'm trying to think of an analogy here, but maybe it will just be simplest enough point out that the area of Western Gari or Duma that we cover is about this big compared to the size of, well, see I'm trying to compare things, I don't want to compare things. Let it suffice to say that we are only able to cover a very small area that is owned, that wild dog, as we've seen them, are only likely to come past here once a year, once every 6 months, and maybe if we're lucky once every 3 months. Let's go up to the tree house. So far I haven't seen these rhino. It's getting very hot, maybe they're thirsty. Maybe they're further back along. Oh, there's a snake track. I want to see snakes. Still got, my cobra came back into my room. Snake track again. Arriving at my room. So I don't see where it leaves. It must leave on in a gravelly section on the other side of the room where it knows that I can't see its track and it teases me. And I digress, as usual. wild dog cover such vast areas that the chances of them crossing this tiny little patch of ground that we're on is once every 6 months or so. I suppose, so that's why mostly we don't see wild dog that often. And I guess coupled with that, I should add to that actually, because it's possible that if we were in the middle of their home range, we would see them more often. We are right on the edge of the reserve, so we're likely to be right on the edge of that particular home range that they utilize, and so they tend to operate further south and further west from us. But any particular anywhere that there is, I mean, all the other lodges only ever get to see wild dog every now and then, unless they've got them denning. Unless they've got them denning. See an impala on the damn wall. Sonny Greg, welcome back. Yeah, welcome back to the oven. Hippo, terrapins on his back. There's zebra in the distance. There's impala drinking, lots of buffalo. Got an active little dam today. Might suit us to just sit down and sit quietly and watch for a while. This angle's not the greatest, but there's also zebra in the distance. Sorry, is somebody calling? No. Yeah, Jim Reeves said he saw some in Combi on Weaver's Nest. I've taken Weaver's Nest now to Treehouse. I didn't find them yet. But lots of, some Duggar boys at Treehouse Dam. Maybe that Combi was more south of Treehouse, and I'll go find them after this. Okay, did you have Ngala this morning? Okay, thanks. What on earth is Hippo doing? Rolling, scratching his back. Almost rolling right over on his back. Having a good back rub underwater. The zebra must have been here because they're kind of moving away, as did the impala. And the buffalo looked frozen in time. So, wild dog. Where are they concentrated? Well, I'm not too sure if you mean here in South Africa or how you mean. I mean, we could answer it two ways. I don't think there's much of a muchness when it comes to the Kruger Park area. They're not concentrated anywhere. I think they're relatively well distributed throughout the Kruger Park and private reserves, mostly on account of the fact that they have such large areas and there are only a certain number of packs. But in places like the Okavango Delta and Tanzania, I would say there's a higher density of wild dog, and that means that you have a greater chance of seeing them in places like the Delta and maybe Selous in Tanzania, maybe in Nkomazi, in northeastern Tanzania. I don't know if Tony takes guests much anymore. Not too sure how his dogs are doing, but he's got a wild dog program going on up there, as he does with the rhino program. It's Tony Fitzjohn. I don't think there's anywhere in South Africa that quite has the density of wild dog. in Sulu. When I was in Tanzania in the Sulu Game Reserve, I had access to 3 different packs. I would see 3 different packs of dogs because of partly because of the size area that I could cover, but also partly because the concentration of prey species was much higher than here. Well, there wasn't so much the concentration as much as it is the numbers. There were just a lot more animals because the terrain and the habitat and then ecosystem could handle it. Here, this part of the world can't handle, any given area couldn't handle hundreds of zebra and wildebeest and giraffe, and buffalo and elephant. And then in Maremi in Botswana there are also Maremi and I think other parts too, probably Tuli block. Incredible wild dog numbers. But it's getting time actually. We haven't seen dogs for a long time. One of the reasons we haven't seen wild dogs is they do tend to den in the winter months. And I know of the one group of dogs that we've seen here before. I know they were denning further down south. We have seen them since I've heard. We saw them that once. I think there were 3 individuals running along Cheetah Cut Line one morning. Patrick and I. Patrick was presenting and we managed to film from a rhino's perspective, the wild dog trotting along. We were with some rhino at the time. But it's getting time to see the dogs again one of these days. We're going to leave these overactive buffalo. They're getting so boisterous we might get in the way of their activity. Oh look, one moved his head, he's drinking water. Normally they suck it up with their lips. I don't find buffalo lapping the poop very often. See, you can get very... Shall we? I think we'll do a big loop up onto Spum Road, back down past the dam. We'll kind of change position slightly when we come back again. And I'm maybe not so facetious. Yeah. Feathers I picked up earlier. I think that's Liz asking. Must have missed it. I was just saying those are ostrich feathers. That didn't come through clear enough. Did I say ostrich? I meant vulture. I mean, that's one. They were the secondary feathers of vultures. And that was the kill site for the Majingolines. When the Majingolines killed, go away, fine. The Majingolines. Sorry, no, the kahumas and the sticks. That's right, sorry. Kahumas and the sticks killed the buffalo. Hello, buffalo bulls. Suppose we could say hello to you here from this angle. Pick up with worry branch today. Now, the reason why there were so many feathers was because of the kill site. If one picks up feathers from a bird, unless it's a bird that's been killed, one doesn't really find more than one feather at a time from a living bird. And a feather will be ejected because it has some defect, or it's broken or something, and it interferes with aerodynamics or insulation or thermoregulation, and then the body rejects it, much like we lose hair and a new one grows. But when you get a large animal like a buffalo dying and lots of altar activity, you're bound to find a lot of feathers from all that fighting and squabbling. Occasionally, if you're lucky, you get a marabou stork come in, and in that case you find a big marabou feather. I once had a guest a long time ago in the UK who taught calligraphy, and she used to import swan feathers for quill pens. And then I gave her some marabou feathers, marabou and vulture feathers, and she said they work better than the swan feathers, especially the marabou. And she sent back to me, she sent a quill pen that she had cut herself. She used to cut the quill herself, dip it in ink, but you had to bake the feathers to get it hard to make a decent pen. I don't know what happened to that pen ever. Okay boys, this is just way too exciting, and I'm just going to have to leave. Thanks for the entertainment. We'll see you shortly. Nose to nose. Oops. Ah, step back a bit. The knuckles fell over. Hello, Starling. What are you finding? Actually, I think what we do, since they're facing that way, let's go around the other side. Go around in front of them. Light might not be as good from the other side, but might come past them. The light might just be lovely. If I were to squeeze through there, the light would be nice, and we could swim properly. They're going to move forward a bit eventually. Oops. Didn't seem to bother them. Right. Too much into the sun. Go this way a little bit. Hello children. Here we go. Little starling in a tree, hoping to get some insects that they might scare away. No drum go around. It's a lovely bullness.
one now looking corridor on the eastern side.
There's a drongo here. I thought it was a bit conspicuous by its absence, I think is the word, the phrase. No large mammal goes unattended. You almost see the three toes there as she's moving along. Oh, we can see the one on the side. You see a very large toenail. You can see the one toe on the side, the big round oval toe in front. I mostly only get to see white rhino here. Excuse me. Doesn't help me very much, could it? Or whoever you are. Wish they'd come this way. The grass rhino, or the grazing rhino, or the square-lipped rhinoceros, or the wide-mouthed. I suppose the best name is the square-lipped rhinoceros. And about 6 Dagaboy, the treehouse, and Tunkombi on Weaver's Nest. Sounds like Mr. Dan now.